Recording. What's up, y'all? It's Head Movement MMA. It's John back again with a special guest today, the Colombian Queen, Miss Sabina Mazo. How you doing today, Sabina?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Really cold over here in California, but it's good. How you
Yeah,
been?
cold for California, I bet, but not for the East Coast here. It's been
Yeah.
cold and rainy for a few days. So Sabina has some really great news. It's been a really great year for her to this year. Kind of like on a roller coaster ride here of just great heights that you've reached. She became the LFA champion at 125 this year, and she has recently signed a 4-fight contract with the UFC. So big things for you happening this year. All right.
And it's gonna be better next year.
All right, all right. So when do we? I know we jumped around, but a little bit, but let's just get into it. So do you know when your first fight will happen?
Probably March, but I don't have like a date or opponent or anything. But I was thinking around March. But let's see if they find something before or after. I'm just waiting for it.
Right, right. So hopefully they're not having a hard time finding an opponent for you in the UFC.
No,
Also,
there's
like,
plenty of people there. It's fine.
yeah, yeah. As far as your training goes, will anything change? Kind of when you're making that next level jump up into the the big leagues. Now with the UFC, anything that you're going to focus on a little bit more than you have been before, just trying to get an advantage from the competition.
Well, it's same hard work. That's how I like to do hard work, and of course, I try to focus on different aspects of things that I saw like last fight and things like that, and that I can improve. But yeah, as far as training, I put all my like my training to Master, and he's the one who like guides me and knows what I have to improve with the hand of my conditioning coach and stuff. So yeah, it's like a little bit of my part of the work, but they are in charge to see a lot of the things that I have to improve.
Right now, as you are 6-0 right now. So along this journey so far, has it been, or I guess, what's it been like? You go in, you win, right? You go in, you win again, and you've had two major highlights, right? That we can also get into in a little bit. But how do you keep motivating yourself to get better with all the success that you've been having?
I'm not satisfied with the job I've done. Like I feel like every fight, of course, I win and I feel happy about it, but I don't feel like it's enough. I see a lot of mistakes I've done, and man, in this sport, I'm just starting, and I think even black belts know they have to improve a lot. So that's what I liked about the sport. It's always like something to work on. It's like passion that really drives me to uh, perfection, but it's not really perfection because it really doesn't exist in the sport. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think the sport itself is the one that motivated me to keep going.
Now, do you like that or believe in that saying? You're either you're winning or you're learning. You
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But at the same time, I feel like it's the same thing in the gym. You learn every day here. Like I train here, and the guys beat me every single day, and that is huge. Like I learn a lot from it. So yeah, I'm a true believer of that.
Now you're at Kings MMA, correct?
Yes.
Yes, with the great Rafael Cordero. So yeah, so there's not a lot of women there, I guess. So you're training a lot with the men. I, how was that? Do you think they may take it easy on you sometimes, or what? I guess what kind of I guess your frame rate of the fellas there that you're training with, are they within 20 pounds of your division, or do you feel
No,
like
there's
you're
sorry.
good?
Yeah,
Yeah, no
go
worries.
on.
Go ahead.
That there's a lot of weights, like everyone is different, and that's what I like. It's different weight classes, and also it really depends on the partner. If they're really trying to help you, they're gonna kick your ass. They're gonna try to go hard on you. It's not like, oh, let's go easy because she's a girl or because she's lighter or whatever. When they put pressure, that's when they really help me. So basically almost all of them, they kind of help me and try to give their best so I can improve.
Right, and I'm sure when it happens and you gain an advantage on them or get a nice slick takedown or submission, I'm sure they kind of, all right, I'm not playing around with her anymore, right?
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk about your journey here. You mentioned that you were young. You're 21 years old. Everyone is talking about that because you've had quite a bit of accolades and I guess let's go back there. Like, when did you start getting into martial arts, or did you start the martial arts, or I believe you got into boxing first?
It was boxing and jiu-jitsu. Those were my two first things I ever did before, like, yeah. And I felt that I was only 15, almost 16 years old. um and yeah, I mean, I was not that young. There's kids starting like from 2 years old, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I had to start whenever I had to, and that was it, like 15 years old. And since then I haven't stopped like training and competing. I really love it.
So yeah, you're still relatively new in the sport, and once again, I mean, you've had a tremendous amount of luck. I mean, that has to come with hard work and training and good schools and teachers around you. So how did you go from and help me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Medellin, Colombia.
That's good. You said it good.
Okay, okay. All right. All right.
That's
So
good.
so how do we go from there and land at Kings MMA and into your introduction, or because I'm sure even then, coming from Colombia, I mean, you had accolades and people were like, "Hey, Sabina's coming to town," you know.
Yeah. Well, look, I decided to come here to Kings because, of course, my trainer from there and I decided, like, oh no, I have to improve in a lot of stuff that it was hard to get there. Like, I know I could achieve my goals, but way slower, and like it will take more time, more experience if I will still stay there and keep living there. So I think the best option for me is and was to come here,
Mm,
to stay here at Kings. And that was basically my idea. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to study. I mean, I do study. I go to college, but I didn't want to focus on that. I wanted to fight. That was my thing. And I told my parents, and I was like, no, I have to leave. I have to do this, and they love it. They support me, and they was like, okay, let's do it. Let's go
yeah.
over there, and that was basically the thing. I took the decision, and I don't regret it. I love living here and like achieving all my goals.
Mhm. So what's been the hardest part of the transition? I mean, is it missing family? Do you have family here or?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, of course, it was a little bit more because I was not used to live like alone. It was the first time, a little bit far away from home, different culture. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I mean, it's not that different. At least, I mean, the language is not the same. I know, but it's not that different. And the people are really nice over here. And Kings MMA helped me a lot. The people
Yeah.
here really supported me, and like they took me like as part of the family, so that made me feel really good. And I think because of that I stayed, because it was hard, of course, but
Yeah.
I don't regret it. And when I see my family, it's whenever I fight and things like that, so it's
Mhm.
worth it.
Now, and that I guess that passion, that desire to, I guess, become great, right? Or to keep you seem like you're challenge oriented, meaning you see the challenge, maybe someone says, "Hey, you can't do that," and you're like, "No, I'm going to prove this person wrong." Is you have a little bit of that in you?
Totally, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just trying to imagine like what kind of strength that takes, to just hey, mom, dad, this is the plan. I'm chasing after my dream. How do we, I mean, as a father myself, just watching my daughter go away to college, only a few hours away.
Yeah.
I mean, you're however many thousands of miles, 6,000 miles away or something like that, maybe more. You don't have that support system, as you would at home. But it sounds like your family has supported you along the journey so far.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that. It's hard at the beginning, and sometimes it's hard, but it's worth it for me. I'm
Yeah.
doing whatever I want to, so it's good.
Yeah. So tell me about this one fight I was watching. I believe it was your first fight against Alejandra Lara. All right,
Yeah.
and I guess you and Alejandra will kind of be mentioned in the same paragraph for a while, right?
Uh-huh.
She's also from Colombia as well. That was your first victory, I believe. Um, you look like I'm just trying to figure out what type of a arena that was because it looked like there was a suspended airplane. I don't know.
Man, yes, it was funny. It was like a show in Colombia, and it was my first fight, man, and that was even in I think it was a club or something like
Mm,
that.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so man, it was amazing, because that was the first fight that really opened me the doors to all this, like I
Mhm.
felt in love to compete, not only do the sport, not only like training stuff, but really competing.
Mhm.
And that was a great fight for me, and I think for her too, because that proved the people that we have talent in Colombia, and especially from girls. A lot of people will say like, oh, the guys, and of course, don't take me wrong, there's a lot of guys
Mhm.
competing from Colombia, but there's also talent from the girls.
All right. And so are you the first female Colombian athlete signed to LFA
Yes, and
and,
UFC.
and also the UFC?
Yeah.
So again, accolades, accolades, accolades. First, right? What is, I guess, just thinking about just your fighting career only. What is at the end of the day or at the end of your career? What are you looking for? Is it the championship title, or is it just, hey, I want to be remembered as one of the great ones, or what do you think you want your legacy to be? But when you look at your life in another 15 years or so, or you
Well,
probably
of
still be
course,
fighting in another 15 years. Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know. Let's see in 15 years, but that sounds a lot, man. That's
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
like half of my life, but not even half.
yeah.
It's even more. But I want my belt. I want to go for the belt, the UFC belt. Defend it, be the champion, and from that make history, because that's what I'm trying to do as well. Try to make history for the whole world. It's not only Colombia, it's not my country or the girls or whatever, but I'm trying to make history in the sport. And I know it's been around not for too long. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do it and to be part of all this that it's coming.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically, one of the goals. I have many, but that's two of the goals that I have.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess was that always the journey, right? Yeah, you're leaving home, you're going to Kings MMA, you're trying to, I guess, did you have a plan on how you were going to, I guess, make it to the UFC? Was it always like, hey, I'm going to LFA, or were there other organizations in mind, Invicta, or anything like that, or was it
Yeah,
always?
it was not like, oh, I have to do this fight and this fight. No, everything started like coming along, and I started doing some fights. LFA came, my manager helped me with that, but my goal was always going to the UFC. That was my goal. To go there, be the champion there. So everything was trying to be put together towards that.
Mhm. Now with these two outrageous head kicks, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen Sabrina, oh my gosh, you guys go to YouTube, plug it in. You're not going to believe these head kicks. So is this like a little, I don't know if you've been watching MMA a long time, right? But there's the great one, Mirko Krokop. He's
Of course,
yeah, he's,
a legend, man.
if the left one hits you, and you're going to sleep in the ambulance, and I mean, that when you come up with that right leg, I mean, you set it up pretty, pretty nicely, right? You're having that jab working it pretty good. And it just seems like that jab is coming out again, and all of a sudden that leg just comes up and pow. And it's just like, what just happened? I mean, I know the opponent is thinking that, but everyone has to, like, I know myself, I have to go back and like rewind it in slow motion. Like, let me just see where it came from. I mean, do you think, because I mean, you have a lot of hits on YouTube for that. Do you think that people are only going to think like, oh, that all she has is that one leg kick, and then they're sleeping on the rest of your your skill set, and then it's like, hey, surprise, or you can pull a Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, mother, kind of one of those moments, right?
Man, to be honest, I don't want to prove it with words. I want to prove it with my work. And that's what I've been done. Like the last fights, it was not a KO, but I proved with my work. I did a lot of boxing work in my last fight. Of course, I couldn't finish, but man, I'm not looking only for a high kick.
Yeah,
it's MMA. It's a lot of stuff. So I mean, I hope people enjoy my work. I want to give a show to everyone, and to prove myself.
Now, yeah, absolutely. Do you have any opponents in mind that you'd like
I don't
to?
know.
I mean, just starting off. I mean, ultimately,
I just want to fight. I just want to fight whoever UFC thinks is gonna be a good match. That's what the only requirement. Like try to give like a good fight. A fight that people wants to see, and that it could be a challenge. Anything, it will be good to do my fight.
Now, speaking of challenges, let's talk about this dreaded weight cut of yours.
Oh man, that's a challenge. That's the real fight.
Yeah, right. That's the real fight, right?
That's the real fight.
There's a lot being said. About the fighters losing weight, different weight classes, things of that nature. And you are in school for nutrition, right?
Yeah.
So how kind of is that helping you? Do you, I guess now, I mean, you don't even have to be in the UFC to use the Performance Institute, but will you look to kind of like, use your schooling along with what's available now more readily, or?
Well, look, like right now, I'm still finishing college, so I don't really have like a lot of information in nutrition. Of course, in the future, I want to kind of support the things I do, and kind of understand a little bit better the nutrition and everything. But right now, I do it with a professional because I want to do it the healthiest way. I always try to do that, and that's how I do it. I don't like to cut like a really drastic amount of weight. I try to do more like a good diet, and at the end, like cut the rest, but try to not cut too much.
Yeah. So I know you're short on time. Are we doing okay? Or you need to run? I know you're.
Yeah, I'll have to run like really soon.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, I wanted to thank you very much for jumping on the show here real quick. We'll just go ahead and wrap it up, and maybe we'll have you back on here another time. But do you have any shout outs, any sponsors, friends, family, anything? Drop your social media and all that good stuff.
Thank you very much to you to take your time as well to do the interview. And everyone, the fans and the people that just support, I hope you enjoy this ride with me and enjoy the show.
All right, there it is. Sabina, the Columbian Queen, Mazo, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check her out. I'll put all your details below. She's definitely a good follow, great person, and there should be great things in her future to happen in the UFC. All right, folks, that'll do it. We'll check you next time. Until the right time is tongue-tied now. Until the next time is the right time, we'll catch you. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.